What's going on? It's been a while, um, but there's something I really have been having trouble finding information about. When this happened to me, I figured that it was a common occurrence. For some reason, I just figured this must happen a lot on higher doses of acid, or eventually someone will experience this that uses acid frequently. I'm aware that 1P-LSD is not quite LSD, but it's I'm assuming it's close enough to where some of these phenomenon phenomenons phenomena will happen with any variation of LSD you take. I'm assuming. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that. So something crazy that happened to me when I took 1P-LSD a year ago. I took one tab. It was immensely fucking intense. It was the most intense experience I've ever had on acid between the two, 1P and classic LSD. It's strange though because it had such a slow come up. It had a lot of body load though, and confusion. It hit me like a ton of bricks, even though it was so slow. Uh, but what happened was this confusion rapidly became panic, which rapidly, the fact that I could not string a thought together. It's a feeling of claustrophobia that you cannot escape. Your own mind is compromised. That's all you have. All you have is your mind. Is those strings of thought strung together. And when you lose that ability, you lose that last comfort that you have. Um, it's the final thing that we all have to work with to comfort ourselves in a time of distress. We can use those thoughts as a way to like convince ourselves everything's okay, we're gonna be fine. But when that's compromised, when that's taken from you, it is quite scary. And I suppose this is a variation of ego death. I don't know how one can calmly work through this. When you lose control of your thoughts, I suppose you must, to work through it calmly, I guess you have to step outside of yourself and just watch these thoughts go by, like meditation. I'm assuming. Anyway, this just got out of control. I started imagining myself in an ambulance. I thought I was gonna die. It just kept building and building and building till there was this. I'll explain what happened. We were walking for about an hour of this, maybe a half hour of this. Uh, Walking was the only thing I could do. That was my meditation. I was focusing on just moving one foot in front of the other. It still, I mean, maybe it helped. It was better than sitting still, but it still was rather horrifying. Uh, I realized after a while that we were walking in circles, and all I could think of was alcohol. Alcohol was going to calm me down, so we got to get to Safeway. Those of you that don't know, Safeway is a grocery store chain where I'm from. So, me and my chick, she's saying this is extremely intense. Um, she was having an intense time, but she wasn't having a bad time per se. It was just really intense for her. So she agrees we need to get to Safeway. We'll get a couple beers in us and calm us down. It was a really hot day. Um, a lot of strange dialogue did unfold between us. I kept asking her why this is so strong. This is just one tab. Why is it so strong? And she kept saying she was not herself. She was almost like she was speaking in almost metaphysically. She was saying that this is your time. It's your time now. Like weird shit. She never talks like that. It's my time for what? You know? She was like, no, this is your time. That's why it's so strong. This was meant to be. I was like, alright, whatever. I wasn't able to really comprehend everything. So it was although I do recall that it was a bit comforting to hear that for some reason. It made me feel like, well, whether I die, which was definitely one of the options that was swirling around in my brain. I might die. I'm probably gonna die. This is so fucking. I feel like I just puddled myself with LSD. It was so fucking crazy. I was turning into just a pile of psychedelic mush. My brain, everything. I was just gone. I was completely being ripped apart. So we get into the Safeway. I let her do all the thinking because I couldn't. She grabbed a 6 pack of some stronger ales, and we said we need water too. It's so hot. I'm getting dehydrated. Let's get some water. We grab water. We get in line, and at this point, I had to stand and endure this, and it was just insanity. I was. There was a few people in line, and standing there felt like an eternity. When we finally got to the checkout lady, she looked at me and said, "Do you have ID?" As soon as she said that to me, this crescendo had built to an apex, and I was either going to drop dead or explode, or something had to give at that point. And what did give was this madness. It just stopped, and everything became still as a pond. My rapid heart rate, blood pressure, shit. I was convulsing with panic. Like I was physically manifesting pure panic and disorder. The disorder that was going on inside of me was manifesting outwardly. And so it just went still as a pond. Boom. I felt euphoria like I've never felt. It just came over me. Everything just went. And I was able to almost lean back when she said it with pure calmness. I said, "Oh, you know what? I don't have my ID on me." She said, "Well, I can't sell it to you." And that was okay. It was perfectly fine. So I just said, "You know what? We'll take the water." Now I was trying to keep my composure at this point, but what had happened was all the crazy visuals, the acid visuals stopped. The panic and all that other stuff going on inside of me, the crazy thoughts stopped. And when this feeling of a still pond manifested, I had noticed when I talked, it was as if my Adam's apple was vibrating. There was a deep, immense reverberation. I don't know if others could hear it, but it was very apparent to me. I could hear it vibrating inside of my head. And everything started to have a soft glow. Like this soft, silvery white light that I cannot describe. if you remember seeing those old religious paintings from the Renaissance era, or before that even, where the icons, the religious icons, would have soft glow behind their heads. Everyone in that Safeway had this glow coming off of them. It was not standard acid visuals. All of that stopped. Like I said, it was like this feeling, this something else took over. I'm going to call it divine intervention, just for lack of better terms, so you guys get an idea of what I was feeling. That's exactly what it felt like. Something took over, stopped the acid, and now I was, my whole body was vibrating immensely, but especially in my throat. And when I spoke, this reverberation meant like I could hear it vibrating. Almost like, but far more intense than when you take a fan and you talk through it and it vibrates. Sounds like Darth Vader. Similar to that, but far more intense. So, also, I don't know if you any lucid dreamers out there or people that vividly remember their dreams, but people's faces have a less, how should I say, stable or solid appearance. In my dreams, I notice people's faces have almost a fluid look. Like when you try and look at someone's face, it's almost like everything's sort of as if the flesh is made out of something else, like not quite physical matter, not quite energy, somewhere in between. People's skin took on this appearance, this glow, this bizarre look to it. Everything was just emanating this silvery white light. So this was happening while I was at the checkout. It continued. We walk out of the store, and I continue feeling like I'm floating on cloud nine for a few more minutes. We walk across the parking lot, and I asked my chick, "Did you see what happened in there?" And she's like, "Yeah." I was like, "What happened?" She's like, "We stepped into the astral plane." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, it was like it was as if we were in the astral plane there for a second." You mean at the checkout, right? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Right then and there, it was like we went into another dimension. Now, I don't know if we had a shared hallucination to this day because every time I brought any of this stuff up, she boils it down to being, just tripping. And she doesn't even remember some of the shit she was saying to me. It was like something else took over and she was like my guide. I know this could just be an acid delusion, but it felt like we had like, when we came out of that store, it was like there was a dimensional hop or something. Like I was supposed to die, and that was the near-death experience setting in almost. But it, but it wore off, or I don't know. I don't know what happened there. It was the strangest experience I've ever had. I can't. I can only describe it as mystical. There was a mystical quality to it, for sure. Anyway, I'm just wondering if anyone's experienced anything like this, especially this very physical, real vibration in the throat. So, yeah, that concludes this. I just wanted to know what's up. If anyone else has had that experience, I don't recommend the use of any of these substances, legal or illegal. So, yeah, take it easy, y'all.